Robin Smith, welcome to noise11.com, and we're looking forward to seeing you back down here soon.
Yeah, very soon. It's getting cool. It won't be long now. It's getting very exciting. Really looking forward.
Performing Tubular Bells, which is exciting, sort of a two-part show, isn't it? So you've got like the best of Mike Oldfield in the first half, and then Tubular Bells in the second half.
Yeah, I mean Tubular Bells in itself, in its complete performance, is 52 minutes long. So it's a good second half. So we kind of do the first half for a toilet break. There's a certain generation. No, I didn't mean. No, it's just a great opportunity for people to revisit Mike's music and just to really go into that second half, kind of go, oh, actually, I remember this, or I love this, or oh my God, he was a great writer, and he is still a great composer, and that's kind of my adage from the whole gig is Mike, the composer, which I think is fantastic.
There's been the original Tubular Bells album. There's Tubular Bells 2, Tubular Bells 3. There's been a couple of incarnations along the way. You sort of met up with Mike in 1992, which was around the time of Tubular Bells 2.
I was working with his as a session musician in London, working with his sister Sally, as an arranger and an orchestrator and a keyboard player. And it just one of those things, like sliding doors. I'm working with her. He's recorded Tubular Bells. I think he did some of it with Trevor Horn. And they were going to do a big launch, television launch. And he needed somebody. So he says to his sister, do you know anybody who has a classical background, who can work with modern technology, work with musicians, has this, knows all these things? And she said, well, that's really funny. That's exactly the person I'm working with. I get zoomed off and I meet Mike we met in Beverly Hills first, but then, a relationship blossomed from them, like a mutual respect. I love what he does and he respected what I do. So this kind of ability to take his music and transport it so that people can play it, which is, as Sally often told me, he never had any formal education in music. So, the world of manuscript paper with dots on was totally alien to him. It's amazing to think that, but it was, I think it completely blew his mind when he used to see his guitar solos transcribed in music, and another guitarist playing it. It was amazing for him. So it's great, and that's so how it worked. So we did Tubular Bells live at Edinburgh Castle, and Tubular Bells 2 at Edinburgh Castle, and we went from there. Did Tubular Bells 2, 3, the Millennium Bell in Berlin in minus 14 degrees. That was interesting. And then ultimately, and recording projects with him. And the last time I worked with Mike was the 2012 London Olympic opening ceremony.
I'm rather amazed by the fact that you said that he doesn't have a background in music. On that first record, he plays multiple instruments, piano, glockenspiel, farfisa organ, bass guitar, electric guitar, motor tape drive amplifier organ chord, a sort of acoustic guitar. Do you have to have all of these instruments ready to perform when you?
No. I mean, the one thing to be really clear about, this is a reimagined version. So all those sounds that Mike only played those instruments because they happened to be in the studio at the time. He didn't go, oh, I must have that sound, and went off to source it. It had to be, oh, what's that funny thing in the corner? Oh, I'll switch it on and play it. And that was like the wonderful energy that album has. It's kind of like, oh, kitchen sink. Oh, what's that great big bell looking thing? I'll hit it. And there was a touch of that really. And it's incredible. So I deliberately, and I spoke to Mike about this, when I decided to do this. This was about celebrating, and I'll bang on about this till the cows come home, which is about celebrating his composition. So whether it been a farfisa organ or some weird thing in the corner, he was creating melodies, he was creating energy and drama and everything with this combination of musical output. What I'm doing is taking all those strands and performing it in the now in 2024.
Yeah, 1973, I was 15 years old.
Of course.
And got to see, well, both, or got to hear the original album when it first came out, but also got to see The Exorcist, which the music was used in the movie The Exorcist, and I guess really catapulted the success of the album at the time. Just last week, sitting down in front of Netflix, and the new Exorcist movie comes up, and there's an adaptation of Tubular Bells in the new movie as well.
Oh, really? Oh, well, he'll be pleased about that. And so with the record company, because I mean that's the whole point. Is it'll keep going through and being adapted. You know, it's. I mean, it's extraordinary, the story and the legacy of the original in 1973. So in 1973, yes, you haven't got The Exorcist. And you haven't got Virgin Records either. I mean,
this is the very first album on Virgin Records.
It's the first one. Richard Branson really didn't have a clue what he was doing. Not in a bad way. It's just he had no experience of doing it, but took a punt on it. He didn't understand it, and it's kind of like it had its own internal journey of finding. I think it was John Peel, one of the great British DJs who, was famous for taking extraordinary pieces of music and actually putting it on the radio at a time when everybody went, no, it's something has to be 3 minutes long or we're not going to play it. Suddenly they're playing a 50-minute piece. Gets into the, so that's there. But the sheer fact that, was it William Friedkin who directed the very first Exorcist? Saw that piece of that intro. I mean, which is very, it's classical in its format. I mean, it really is. It's almost like Stephen Reich and Philip Glass and Terry Riley, all those things in one go, to put that to be the kind of the atmosphere of The Exorcist was extraordinary, and it's still there. I mean, it's amazing. You just put that haunting piano part with its repetitiveness, and you're back there. It's extraordinary.
Fun fact: Vivian Stanshall, the MC on the original album, was a member of the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, who were the band in the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour movie.
That would make sense. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So,
and I do believe that they were all completely off their trolleys when they did. Well, certainly when he did the Master of Ceremonies, they were nine sheets to the wind, whatever it's called.
He certainly was in the Magical Mystery Tour.
Absolutely, I think he lived most of his life that way. But yeah, it's amazing, amazing time. This just is different journeys that people made with it, and just the opportunities.
So, who was MC in your show?
So we use it's a pre-record, because every time you get some. Every time used to do this with Mike. So if you get somebody in just to do the announcements, it's a recipe for disaster. I mean, it really is. That they either turn up late, or they turn up drunk, or they turn up and ain't got a clue what they're doing. We've done it all over the world. I remember with Mike doing Tubular Bells too. We had people in Carnegie Hall. We had the worst oh God, President Nixon, I think it was impersonator. It was awful. It was just, and in Tubular Bells 2, they had John Gordon Sinclair who did it. And I think Mike nearly had a punch up with him on stage. So, but we have a wonderful voice. We have we perform it as 8 musicians.
It's incredible that it took 20 years to get Tubular Bells 2, and then Tubular Bells 3 came about 5 years after that.
Yeah.
Why the sequels?
He changed record companies. He went over to Warner's. They put a lot of money into him, gave him a huge deal, and said, "We want a new Tubular Bells," and that's why he did Tubular Bells 2. In some ways, Tubular Bells 2 is It's a wonderful piece of music. I mean, yes, okay. So it refers to the structure of the original, but there's some beautiful moments. So I think because that became more popular, that's why I did Tubular Bells 3 and the Millennium Bell, which we did again, has that kind of thematic ideas in there that he knew worked. It might have been the record companies just putting a bit of pressure on him, saying, "Oh, we can't market it unless it's called Tubular Bells." And I think that probably has been his nemesis for a very long time, certainly in his later career, that he just can't, no matter what he did, somebody would always go, "Oh yeah, but Tubular Bells," and for a composer, that's a huge sort of not kick in the teeth, but it's a real massive pressure that that people are potentially saying, well, whatever you do, it's not going to be as good as what you've done. So you're always striving to change it. But you're right. I mean, Tubular Bells 3 has got some fantastic. Working on that was amazing. Just doing some of the I mean, it's incredible. I mean, because he was really exploring his musicality. We did one piece which was called, it was like a homage to Sir Winston Churchill, Broad Sunlit Uplands. That's right, and he based that because he'd listened to the string. What's his name? Sir Michael Tippett's string concerto, double string concerto. He suddenly comes up to me and goes, "Have you ever heard this?" And I couldn't believe it. Mike Oldfield was playing me a real, serious, beautiful classical piece of music. And so, it was just a wonderful point of exploration. So not just all guitars all the time. Obviously, synths were a big part of it there by then, but comparing it with using orchestral techniques and songs using the voice, that was a big thing. And obviously voices from different parts of the world.
It's not just about Tubular Bells. Of course, there was almost the pop phase of Mike Oldfield. He had a huge top 40 single in Australia with Moonlight Shadow. You covered
that. Absolutely. That's probably one of the most popular things in the show. Yeah.
The other one, Family Man, which Hall & Oates covered on records, and they had their own hit.
But most people don't realise that that's a Mike Oldfield tune. Everyone knows Moonlight Shadow and To France, but Family Man, fantastic song. I mean, great emotion. Yeah, so he had that phase as well. I think it's because he came from the world of being a session musician. So although he became a huge artist, he still had this ability to work with other songwriters, collaborate, create new music, and have his eye on the American market.
Well, you've got your own career as well on the side. You haven't just been doing Mike Oldfield stuff all this time.
No, I've been
a Grammy nomination in 2022. Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yes.
Tell me about your work with Rod Stewart, Andrea Bocelli, Pavarotti. What did you do?
I mean, he did a duet, and it's just classic. They needed an orchestra on it, so I put the orchestra on, and that was it. And the same with Cher, the same with Lionel Richie, all these people. It's great. I mean, it sounds it sounds great when they say it, but of course you don't really meet. You're not sitting down with these people and going. They're not going, "Oh, what do you reckon about that third bar? What do you want that second violins? What do you think they should?" They never really ever do that.
That's your job.
Yeah, yes, you do your work, and they like it, and then they carry on. It's tremendous. It's a great honor.
And music director for the 2012 London Olympic opening ceremony. Now that is very impressive on the resume.
That's amazing. But that was, I mean, just honestly, the story of that with Mike was so Mike, by this point, Mike actually retired after the kind of Horse Guards parade. Certainly after the Millennium concert in Berlin, he was like, that's it. I'm off. I'm going to go and enjoy my life. I'm off to the Bahamas. I've got me board shorts. I'm off. And he kind of was. And the great story is he's there and he's in a bar. I think obviously his local bar. I've got no idea. Where Danny Boyle, who's the director of the Olympics, is on holiday. They get talking, and it turns out, Danny Boyle's a massive, massive Mike Oldfield fan. I'm a huge, and they get talking, and you know, there's like a mutual appreciation society on the bar. I think a few Guinnesses may be involved here, but basically, the end of it is Danny Boyle goes, well, well, look, I'm this year I'm directing the Olympic ceremony, the opening ceremony. I'd love to put tubular bells in. And this is the way it works. It's not like some sort of amazing. He goes, I'd love to put tubular bells in it. Do you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to choreograph the segment for, what's it called? You know, there's part of Tubular Bells 3 and Tubular Bells 1 and all this. I'm going to go back and arrange this and source this whole thing. And I'll be back to you. And the next thing I know, and by this point, I'm living in Newson. I'm getting calls from Mike going, I think you need to go to London because we're going to be doing the London opening. And that's and I was on the plane. My air miles went up a lot during that period. And then it culminated. Mike came over from the Bahamas and we did that performance. It was extraordinary, an amazing night.
Well, your air miles will go up again when you get down to Australia, from New Zealand to Perth to Wollongong to Canberra, Geelong, Adelaide, Frankston, Bendigo. I can't even go through all of this.
That's great. Well, get the word out there because we want it to be worth it for everybody because it's an incredible experience. People do love it. We put a lot of energy and passion into it. You know, it's an extraordinary piece of music to perform every night. And we just love doing it.
Well, see you in Australia soon, Robin.
Fantastic.